The plan is now conquest.
Seems like all we can do here is talk about the Castlevania franchise, and with the significant resurgence in the franchise's popularity this year, why the hell not? Now, it is no news that the Castlevania universe has undoubtedly achieved remarkable success over its 4-long-decade run, with each video game setting ascending its predecessor, all thanks to Powerhouse Animation Studios, who are renowned for their exceptional work and consistently pushed boundaries with each release in the Castlevania series. In 2017, Netflix's Castlevania animated series made a significant impact, wowing fans with its compelling storytelling and outstanding animation. Since the thrilling conclusion of the original Castlevania animated series roughly 2.5 years ago, fans have been eagerly awaiting more. Over 4 seasons, the show reached an impressive conclusion, featuring the demise of major characters and leaving others in entirely new situations. Season 4 concluded with a bang, delivering shocking moments and offering satisfying resolutions for beloved characters. Now, I know there is a spin-off in the franchise's scene already, and the Castlevania animated series ended on a justifiably satisfying note. But there were other interesting characters added to the series roster, whose respective endings were not necessarily bad or a happily ever after. I am talking about characters like Isaac, who evolved into something better at the end. Yet what became of him at the ultimate episode seems to be stuck on the shades of gray. While the ending was satisfying, it did leave some unanswered questions, sparking curiosity about what exactly happened next, especially in the case of our favorite supporting characters. Well, in this video, our focus will be to understand what the hell happens to our favorite Devil Forge Master after the series ended. So, without wasting another second, let's get right into it. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Isaac? If you have already watched the series and played the games, you already know that Isaac is Dracula's most loyal Devil Forge Master. His character was first introduced in Castlevania: Curse of Darkness as the primary antagonist of the narrative. As a Devil Forge Master, Isaac appeared to be enveloped in themes of bondage and self-mortification. Now, in a weird contrast from the series, Isaac was inherently jealous of Hector within the gaming lore, who was apparently the Dark Vampire Lord's favorite Forge Master. But as the narrative goes, Hector betrayed his master when he was sent to assassinate a Belmont, who later killed the Dark Vampire Lord. Isaac's dark agenda revolved around luring Hector back to Dracula's castle with a malevolent intent to use Hector as the new vessel for Dracula's resurrection. He cunningly orchestrated a trial that led to Hector's wife, Rosalie, being condemned as a witch and sentenced to burn at the stake, drawing Hector back into the clutches of Dracula's curse. Later, Hector is led by Isaac to an abandoned castle to regain his Devil Forge Master powers. Now, Isaac actually seeks revenge for past humiliations, but as Hector's powers grow, he confronts Isaac in Cordova, which was intervened by his sister Julia. Following this, Isaac battles Trevor Belmont at Alon Ruins, obtaining the blood needed to revive the hidden chambers within Dracula's castle. Isaac stabs Trevor in the chest, delivering a fatal blow, and then tricks Hector into reviving the castle, where they again clash for one last time. The confrontation ends with Isaac's death, allowing Hector to save himself from the curse. But Death, posing as Zed, uses Isaac's lifeless body for Dracula's resurrection. A Dracula-possessed Isaac again fights with Hector, who defeats the Dark Vampire Lord to free Isaac's soul. Julia and Hector escape as the castle crumbles, acknowledging Isaac's tragic fate as Hector grants Isaac peace in death, recognizing his irrevocable madness. Now, in the animated series, Isaac's character takes on a more profound and compelling dimension. His life began in the horrors of slavery, enduring unimaginable mistreatment from his master, who whipped him for absolutely no reason, until one day he reached a breaking point and violently ended the life of his oppressor. That was the pivotal moment which marked a turning point for Isaac, who understood what made him different from other humans as it was the moment his powers surfaced, making him realize how shallow humans really are. Later, when Dracula reached out to him to create his Night Army to eviscerate humans from the face of the earth, Isaac aligned with his vision and pledged his unwavering loyalty to the Dark Vampire Lord, becoming one of Dracula's menacing Forge Masters. Now, like in the games, Isaac really did love Dracula and even wanted to shield him with his own life when his castle was invaded. But unlike the gaming lore, Isaac had no qualms against Hector and, in fact, shared a civil relationship with him until he found out how he was a key catalyst in Dracula's demise. Driven by a profound sense of duty to his fallen master following Dracula's demise, Isaac embarked on an unrelenting quest for revenge. Starting from the desert to the sea, Isaac killed people who tried to stop him and turned them into his own night soldiers, who would help him exact revenge on all those who were responsible for his master's demise. Isaac's exceptional abilities set him apart from typical humans. Despite his human nature, he exhibited remarkable strength, as evidenced in his confrontation with one of Dracula's formidable vampire generals, Godbrand, whom he easily overpowered. His combat skills and superhuman capabilities were further underscored when he compelled Carmilla, the Queen of Styria, to take her own life in a dramatic showdown. Perhaps his most distinctive power was his role as a Forge Master, allowing him to instantaneously transform living beings into obedient night creatures through a ritualistic dagger, granting him a potent and versatile arsenal to pursue his quest for vengeance. Now, the games never provided any backstory to his character, an issue which the Castlevania animated series resolved rather brilliantly. If you ask me, it made his character more human than anyone else in the series. This was a man who had nothing, wanted nothing, and continuously made sure he retained his bitterness by morbidly indulging in self-flagellation. But that changed as Isaac ventured out into the world and met with the shades of gray in his path, allowing him to view human beings as complex beings instead of unrelenting pests of nature. What do we already know about Isaac's ending in the Castlevania animated series? Although the Castlevania animated series have always shed the limelight on its three primary protagonists, characters like Isaac, Carmilla, Hector, or even Saint Germain were given quite some substance within the plot, allowing viewers to indulge in many intertwined subplots within the series. But Season 4's conclusion for the supporting characters was no less than anything fantastic. Each ending was poignant, satisfying, and in some way inherently cathartic. As the dust settles, both the characters and viewers find themselves in a deeply satisfying place, bringing a poignant closure to this epic saga. But honestly, it was Isaac's ending that left me in quite an unrelenting confusion. Ever since Season 3, after Dracula threw him into the desert to save his life, Isaac has been on a quest which has ultimately led him to find himself. Although he did amass a humongous horde of night creatures along his super long journey to cross land and sea so he could avenge Dracula's death, Isaac was actually doing a darker and more cynical version of eat, pray, love. On his way, he met a lot of interesting people and even experienced unexpected kindness at the hand of strangers. His journey takes him to Tunis, where a shopkeeper offers him a magical mirror revealing desires, but Isaac did not have any money to pay him with. So, as an act of kindness, the shopkeeper gave the mirror to him as a gift, which shocked Isaac. Now, Isaac's hatred towards humanity was fueled by his mistreatment at the hands of cruel men all his life, but this was the first time someone had given him something without an ulterior motive, which really befuddled his entire thought process. Right when Isaac thought a bit softly towards humans, the guards at the ship docks ordered him to forfeit back, denying him passage. So Isaac did what he does best. He commanded his night creatures to attack them and later used their bodies to generate new night creatures. The experience that really changed Isaac was the ship he had taken to Genoa with his night creatures. A board captain who was seemingly looking for adventure befriends Isaac and allows them to board his ship on one condition: that his night creatures are not allowed to kill while they are aboard. Later, the both of them shared a pretty deep conversation, which really evolves Isaac's viewpoint towards humankind. The captain, captivated by Isaac's enigmatic aura, beckons him to share his life story. So Isaac recounts his trials in Wallachia and the life-saving intervention of Dracula. he unveils his Sufi background and the artistry of forge mastery he commends. Isaac quoted Prophet Muhammad to voice his philosophy that hell was actually populated with the souls of human beings who went against the will of God. And it was Prophet Muhammad who said that one day hell would be empty and its gates would rattle in the wind. Isaac believed that God used his hands to lift the damned from hell and cleanse the earth till it was pious again. As Isaac discloses his intent to carry on Dracula's mission and eradicate humanity, the captain imparts a nugget of discernment. Why tread Dracula's path when he could weave his own narrative? The captain highlights the folly of extinguishing humanity to Isaac, as it would obliterate the very essence that renders it noble. Ending human cruelty would also ensure that he is ridding the earth of human kindness. The captain further advised Isaac to spread positivity using his treasure trove of knowledge, which would ultimately benefit humanity and make the world a more livable place. Isaac was not just weirded out by the captain's suggestions, but was also confused. But this exchange definitely reached out to his benevolent side, as seen in his later adventures. After taking down the morbid magician who was enslaving an entire population under his reign of terror, Isaac actually ordered his night creatures to bury the human beings whose bodies could not be converted into more night creatures. He even asked them to fix the city and then left it behind in such a state that other people could easily come and settle there if they wanted to. That was Isaac's first act of kindness we witness, as he does not take control over a region, instead leaves it behind for human beings to turn it into something better. Plus, after killing the evil magician, Isaac actually felt a surge of change, believing that for the first time, his actions brought about genuine good to the world. Later, when Isaac attacked Styria with his large army of night creatures, his motives were no longer driven by a sense of revenge or anger. In his first encounter with Hector inside Carmilla's castle, Isaac decides to not kill Hector even after he fully submits. Instead, he asks Hector to stop fighting a lost war for Dracula, who is now dead. Isaac now realized that Dracula indeed was a bitter man who went mad after losing everything he loved and wanted to take that out on the entire world. There was no reason for them to feel guilty over their master's demise, because they were his mere followers and never had any agency in the events that followed. So it was important to let Dracula rest in peace and not conform to schemes involving Dracula's resurrection. Even when Isaac went ahead to end Carmilla's reign, his motive changed as he no longer wanted to kill her because of her active role in Dracula's demise. Instead, he realized that Carmilla too had lost her mind in her ambitions, and thus her reign of terror had to end in order for the world to become a better place. Before his duel with Carmilla began, Isaac mentioned that she had to die simply because her ambitions would always be a liability for the world which she wanted to run at the palm of her hands. Next, as we know, one of the most iconic fight scenes in the entire series ensued. And honestly, it was nothing but a visual marvel. As Carmilla was left battered and defeated, she took her own life because Isaac could come anywhere near her. Ultimately, her ambitions ended her, leaving the kingdom of Styria under Isaac's rule. What presumably happened to Isaac after the Netflix TV series ended? By now, we already know that the show ended with Isaac becoming the ruling king of Styria. But something about him was vaguely different as compared to his first appearance in the show. Isaac's journey through the world actually allowed him to battle his unresolved trauma fueled by his horrific mistreatment as a boy, and this was a battle he won. He realized that just like there were two sides of a coin, the world too had a kinder counterpart which needed his aid. Now, of course, there were no hints in the show on what Isaac's life as the king of Styria looks like, and many Castlevania enthusiasts have expressed disappointment that Isaac was not given a proper conclusion in the series finale, despite being one of the show's best characters. And on top of that, the Isaac lore within this series is way deeper than the one within the games. So of course, even if we drew up theories inspired by the gaming source, there is barely anything to go on because Isaac meets a pretty brisk and humiliating end within the games as compared to this guy who became the literal embodiment of a Buildings Roman character within the series. He literally transformed from a man who self-flagged his back just so he could hold on to his hatred for humanity, to a man who evolved both psychologically and morally enough to see the beauty and kindness of humankind. Now, coming to answer our main question here, it can be assumed that Isaac indeed lived up to his words, Like the captain had suggested during their travels to Genoa, Isaac reformed the castle of Styria under his rule and became the voice for humanity, which was much needed in a world that was overrun by power-hungry vampires. It is very much possible that Hector becomes a part of Isaac's court and continues to document everything in his book, which he promised Lenore he would write. But again, at the end of the show, we witness Dracula returning back to Earth with his wife Lisa and hiding this information from the world. Now, of course, Isaac always loved and admired Dracula's intellectual depth, but by the end he understood the weakness of a lonely man who suffered in a world without his beloved, so in return he wanted the world to suffer with him. Now, what if Dracula's reign of terror resurfaces, aligning with the usual gaming lore revolving around all his resurrections? Is there a possibility for Isaac to stand in solidarity with a man who wanted to eviscerate the very humankind Isaac now wanted to protect? I think not. In fact, like in the Castlevania Curse of Darkness gaming lore, where Hector teamed up with Trevor Belmont in the end to stop Dracula's resurrection, I could totally visualize a scene where Isaac and Hector come together to team up with Trevor Belmont so as to bring Dracula down for good. I mean, that is a plotline I would definitely want to see unfold, given that the Devil Forge Masters never interacted with the Belmont within the animated series. Given the Castlevania animated series rapport with visually mesmerizing fight scenes, this one would probably be a gift to behold. Anyways, it should be noted that none of these theories per se are set in stone. They are simply our take on what could have been the scenario if the studio had decided to follow a continuity along Castlevania's animated series timeline and given Isaac an opportunity to become the king he wanted to be. Marvelous verdict. Although Isaac received a rather satisfying ending, the show and its characters were simply so amazing that even to this day we are always prying to get more. But curiosities certainly have no bounds. So what do you think happened to our favorite Devil Forge Master after the series end? Please let us know in the comments section below. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.